Welcome in to another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside the great Mike Cameron, here to break down the Padres Dodgers opening game of the season, discuss whether or not it's time for the challenge system to come to MLB, and look ahead at more to come from this great rivalry. Mike, the Dodgers took round one, beating the Padres 8-7 in 10 innings. Look, these games always have a lot going on. We saw big hits, we saw controversial calls. We saw tense moments in extra innings. We saw big outs, big pitchers making, their pitches in big spots. These are some of the most entertaining games in baseball. And look, someone had to win, someone had to lose. It was close, really, from the outset. The Dodgers just got the job done in the end.
Yeah, that was as I stated before, it was a heavyweight fight going on between the Dodgers and the Padres, and seeing as these games go on, when you have the type of caliber players that you have on these teams, it creates for exciting moments. And obviously, in this one, the Dodgers came out on top late in the game, late late last night in extra innings. So I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty more excitement for game two and game three of this series.
Yeah, four lead changes. Again, the Dodgers scored two in the top of the first. Padres respond with two, take the lead in the second. Dodgers take the lead back top of the third. Padres come back and take it in the bottom of the third, and just back and forth all game long. Mike, there's one moment in particular I want to hone in on with you. And that was in the bottom of the 10th inning. Manny Machado at the plate. Luis Ariz, the automatic runner at second base. Machado works the count full and draws what looks like to be ball four. Tanner Scott throws a slider that is never a strike at any point. It was a ball out of the hand, clearly high and outside. Home plate umpire Mike Estabrook rung Machado up for strike three. Machado got in his face. Mike Schilt came out as well. That was a big blown call and a big spot that completely changes the entire dynamic of the inning. Again, it should have been ball four. Machado's the tying run. All of a sudden, you have runners on first and second, tying run on base, no outs. Instead, now it's one out with a runner on second, chasing two. Changes everything. We've seen a lot of missed calls in big spots this year in particular. Where are you in terms of if it's time to bring the challenge system to MLB?
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. Like, look, I feel like the challenge system definitely needs to be in play. It only facilitates growth amongst the umpires. It also makes it where we get the call right. And I just think that it's time, man, because there's too much on the line in these games on a daily basis for them to be missing calls. I know the umpires don't miss many calls, but it seems like, when you have some of the younger groups of umpires, this seems to happen a little bit more, and they seem to be a little bit more confrontational where you can't even talk to them. You have to understand, as an umpire, you are a mediatory for the players in the judgment system situation. So your judgment can be off, and the player's judgment can be off, but the player can be right, and you can also be right. You don't have to ring a guy up because the energy of the game and the emotion of the at bat and the player starts to exude that. Your job is to try the player down. Well, the manager is going to probably calm the player down because it's going to be strong. But I just think that guys are running guys out of the game that people come to see play the game, man. And the umpires need to do a little bit better. I've seen it happen a couple times over these last few days where they're just running guys out before anything can even transpire. I know some guys are a little more. I mean, they're human, so they're a little more sensitive to certain situations. But you
Yeah.
got to try to main your calm your emotions and deal with the task at hand, and try to de-escalate opposing to escalating situations. And we know umpires do that very well. They will escalate something in a minute and then run you out of the game, and then it gets really nasty, and then the player gets a fine, and then the manager didn't get a chance to go out and try to save one of his players, the star players. So it's just a kind of a rung that we need to clear up, and it will be much better because you don't really have this going on down in AAA.
Right.
Like you get a chance to state your case if you feel like it's something's off or on or whatever it is, and you get a call, and everyone moves on. Like, hey, I missed it. The umpire missed it. But I think this challenge system will give everyone an opportunity to try to get the thing right more so often than not.
No question about it. And it's important to raise a few points here. So, generally speaking, according to Umpire Scorecards, a great website which tracks umpire ball strike accuracy, the median umpire correct call rate is 94%. So umps generally get the range is between 90 and 96% of calls, right? The median is 94%. So first and foremost, let's give the umpires credit. They do a really good job. It's the missed calls
Oh
that get
yeah.
highlighted. They don't get credit for getting the calls right, and they do get the
No.
calls right a lot of the time. That said, those extra 6% or for some umpires 10%, those make a big difference in big spots in games. And you mentioned it down AAA. We're not seeing these kind of problems. We're not seeing these kind of confrontations because the challenge system has been so effective. During my time at Baseball America, I covered the rules changes in the minors extensively and covered the challenge system extensively in AAA. I was out in Vegas a few times writing about it, talking about it. And it's one of those things that when you see it, it's like, oh, this works. This is really good. There's some technologies Major League Baseball has tried to bring in, some rules changes they've tried to implement in the minors that just haven't worked or don't make that big of a difference. But the two
Yeah.
that made a difference from the outset when I covered them, when they implemented the new version of the pitch clock in the Cal League in 2021, I was like, oh, this works. This really works. This is actually going to be good.
Yeah.
That came to Major League Baseball. Full ABS, when they've messed around with that, it didn't really work. So in AAA, people need to understand the history here. In 2023, Major League Baseball did 3 games a week with full ABS, 3 games a week with the challenge system, kind of A/B testing. The challenge system was much better. In 2024, they started doing the same thing, and halfway through the season, they got rid of ABS and said, we're just going to a straight challenge system because this is working. And the challenge system is
Yeah.
great because, again, the umpire can still call the game. The flow of the game stays the same, but in those big
Yeah.
moments, they can challenge a call when it's only the pitcher, the hitter, or the catcher, can't come from the manager. And the whole thing is
Yeah.
done in 10 seconds. They tap their head, they review it real quick. It goes up on the scoreboard. The fans get to see it. They get into it. It's great. And I think that, look, they're not going to put it in the middle of the season. We know that. But starting in 2026, we have reached the point where they've tested in AAA. They know what works in AAA. They tested it in spring training this year. They've worked out most of the kinks. It's just a better product with less confrontation that stems from it. And we don't see these missed calls and these big moments. The game will benefit from it. I really do think it is time for the challenge system to come next year.
Yeah. Obviously I grew up in the era of where you knew umpires, you had to understand and learn umpires' reputation.
Yep.
Sometimes it had to do with the pitcher that was on the mound, had some time to do with what type of service time you had as a player.
Yeah.
Like I was told, you got to earn your strike zone, all these kind of different things.
Yeah.
Man, like, it's tough. I mean, the calling the game of baseball, if we have this new age where guys are throwing 100 miles an hour consistently, to the upper 90s or whatever it is, then we need to have every aspect to help the game in this sense. I know people like to see the guy players argue back and forth with the umpires or whatever, but nobody really wants to do that. Everyone's just trying to
Yeah.
say they're right, So if it's something that can help the umpires today, it would be very beneficial in that state to be able to put it in there. I saw the spring training, man. It's a blessing to have this
Yeah.
because it holds everyone accountable. It makes you understand the strike zone a little bit better. It makes the umpires understand the strike zone a little better. Look, the strike zone is already smaller anyway than any time that I played. So half an inch off or a ball and a half, whatever it is, that was the norm for me. Now that you have to get the ball on the plate. So at some point of it, I just think it's just beneficial for everyone all the way around to have, this challenge system. It's just going to make the game a little bit better. I'm a traditionalist in the sense of baseball, but I do like the idea of having these balls and strikes called because it holds people accountable where you get better.
Very well said. All right, Mike, we have a lot more to talk about, a little bit more about AP challenge system implementation, what that would look like. Mike Schultz comments after the game about Mike Estabrook and the missed call, and looking ahead to what's still to come and what positives the Padres can take away from their opening loss to the Dodgers. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Kratz, you look different today. Do I see Chubby's shorts on your shoulder?
Oh, the sick design. I mean, don't even get it twisted, too, because the lining normally is like an SOS pad. This lining that's in the center is so soft, so smooth. The outside, so many things to choose from on chubbyshorts.com.
Facts. And the code FOUL for 20% off. I got the Tiger Sharks.
Ooh-wee.
Little blend of a tiger and a shark. It's beautiful. So don't wait. For a very limited time, shop Chubby's biggest sale of the year, $45 shorts and up to 65% off select gear. Hit up chubbyshorts.com and grab your favorites before they're gone. If you miss the sale, then use the FT code, FOUL in lowercase for 20% off. Support FT, let them know we sent you when the survey asks, and get ready to turn some heads. Summer's here. Dress like it in Chubby's.
All right, welcome back to Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Kyle Glaser alongside Mike Cameron. All right, Mike, I want to hone in on Mike Estabrook, the umpire who made the call on Manny Machado. Again, our friends at Up Scorecards do a great job tracking all the umpires, their strike ball call accuracy. Mike Estabrook ranks 74th out of 89 umpires in ball strike accuracy. So he is one of the worst in Major League Baseball. And that's a problem. And Mike, I want to be clear, Manny Machado, his reaction was completely justified. I thought the ump cam was actually cool. You kind of saw, the player, getting into it with the umpire and just what that vantage point looks like. Manny Machado was totally justified. In the past, we have seen players be resistant to some of the rule changes. So the way this works is Major League Baseball established a competition committee in 2022 with 11 members, 6 league representatives, 4 player representatives, and an umpire representative. When Major League Baseball put the pitch clock in and the shift bands in, players unanimously voted against it. It was put in place over the objections of players. All 6 league reps voted for it. All 4 player reps voted against it. In order to implement the challenge system in 2026, Major League Baseball doesn't need player support. Their 6 reps can put it in and they're good to go. But given the calls we're seeing, given the reactions we're seeing, like Manny Machado's last night, do you think players will support the challenge system being put in place when the time comes?
Most definitely. They love it. I think the players got a taste of it in spring training, see how it works. And I just think that it's beneficial, man. Like we don't have to have the talk about the umpires as much if we have this new challenge system in. I mean, it just helps in a sense. I've seen it. I know what it is. You may get nicked every once in a while, but hey, you can live with that when you know where the actual ball is, because the ball is coming so fast. It's hard to judge those things. You have to slow it down a little bit and see where it's like, all right, okay, I can see where that's a strike. And for the most part, guys in the major leagues, some are better than others. They understand the strike zone. It's just a matter of understanding what the umpire strike zone is. And so, you got guys stealing strikes or whatever, that'll cut out some of that stealing strikes miss, whatever it may be. So you can scratch that off the analytical data situation, like throw that out. You get a chance to make sure that, you're getting balls and strikes where you don't have that, where you're able to manipulate the strike zone as much as guys are able to do it today from the humanized aspect.
I have to ask, who is the umpire you had the most difficult time with in your playing days with his balls and strike calls? Angel, CB? I mean, there's kind of the classic cats.
A lot, man. I had some of the, I came up at a time, as I stated before, I came up at a time where if I was facing a guy that had a lot of who was a known, pitcher, you was gonna have a rough day. I've had some terrible beefs with. I'm getting calls about this much off the plate with 2 strikes, and then I got everybody yelling at me, "Oh, you strike out." I always say, man, half, I would say 1/4 of my strikeouts are contributed to the umpire, because I had no chance for the most part. I mean, I had no chance. I was in some games where I know I was in playoff game against Rob Clemens where he had like maybe 16 punch outs, and I can assure you a lot of the balls went on the plate. I was in a game when Randy Johnson had like 18 punch outs, and I can assure you the umpire was just as a fan, as a person sitting in the stands, as he was behind home, because he's just running people out of there. I had some old guys that talk mess, but the one thing that I do appreciate is as I continue to evolve in the game, I was able to talk to the umpire. I just understood how to talk to the umpire. Most of the time I kept my heads down if I had something to say, and not to show the umpire up. These guys were sometimes bigger than the game. I feel like some of them are just as big as the game as
Are you talking
Cowboy
about Joe
Joe
West
West
by
used to be.
chance? Any chance, Ken?
By chance, there's that one guy that was doing it in that matter. I used to hate Tim McClellan with the long strike three, and then he does the little sign, you'll be walking halfway off. I'm like, come on, man. And then you had Durwood Merrill, who was a country Texas boy. But that's a Hall of Fame pitch there, kid. That's a Hall of Fame pitch. Well, I tell you what, I ain't never make it to the Hall of Fame. You're calling this like that. So I had my beefs a lot of times, and I would tell the umpire, I would just say stuff like, you see the man ain't trying to throw me a strike. Trust me, if the catcher can catch it, then more than times than not, I'm gonna swing it. So, it was just, I just had those kind of interreactions sometimes. I used to yell from center field because I had great vision back then. I could see. I'm like, okay, I'm not getting that call. So I'm like, hey, I'll be yelling the second at base umpire. I was like, hey, knock it off. I'm like, hey, did nobody knock it off when I was at the plate? So let me get mine out. Yeah, I mean, I just had some of those moments from time to time, but I didn't have many problems with many umpires. Because I think I earned every strike that I got to be able to. I never showed the umpire up unless I felt like, if you said something crazy, I'm not gonna say nothing crazy to you. And said, I had my emotional moments. I think I got kicked out maybe one time arguing ball, maybe twice arguing balls and strikes, and it was a big shebang here in Atlanta, Georgia, against I forgot what his name was, but I got suspended because he said I bumped him, and I'm like, bro, I don't need to bump you. I'm bigger than you, so I ain't bumping no umpire. I may get in your face and my helmet may hit you or whatever, but for the most part, I always had managers that that felt like they would always take up for me or whatever. But Mervin, I think it was Mervin. I think it's Mervin something or whatever. I apologized to him the next day, because I was emotional in that sense, or my emotions got the best of me in that sense. But it was not a strike. I mean, I went at it 2 or 3 times, but the angles can be off too because the center field cameras are off angle, but now they got it over here, so you can see everything very well.
Yeah.
And more times I was right more times than I was wrong. And when I go back and look at it, and so but that was a part of the game then. It doesn't have to be a part of the game now. I think all the players like getting strikes called on. I was talking to Cole Young in the dugout the other day, and he's like, man, the strike zone just it's different here, And I was like, yeah, you don't have the challenge system. And so he felt like the strike zones in AAA was a lot better than it was in the big leagues. These guys obviously has earned their stripes as umpires of being very good at what they do. But sometimes you're gonna get one of those calls on you from time to time that could go either way, and those are the ones that guys want to be able to challenge because they feel like the advantage is already in the pitcher's favor. So your job is to try to hit strikes as much as possible, and the pitcher's job is to keep you off balance, change speeds, and get you to chase outside of the strike zone. It's difficult. The challenge, a lot of the things that are going on now are very difficult, and we would love to see it be better than what it has been in the past.
No question about it. And I think Mike Schilt was very diplomatic after the game as well. He was asked, what do you think of the strike 3 call, or have you seen it? And he said, oh, you mean the ball 4 call, which was his one little, jab. But after he talked about, Mike Estabrook, it's a great crew. And Mike Schilt played the long game. We talked about this. Mike Estabrook is 74th out of 89 umpires in ball strike accuracy. So it's not really great. But Mike Schilt understands there's 2 more games. You don't want to antagonize the entire umpiring crew here, these next 2 games. He took the high road, understood the long game. And we'll see if it's better tonight, because there's no question. There were some other calls as well. Friar Tatis early in the game, there was a pitch well below the zone. He got called a strike on. And again, I think we have the ability now to correct a lot of these issues. And I think it's time. And hopefully in 2026, the challenge system comes. So, all right, Mike, we got a lot more to talk about, not related to the umpires. We're going to take another quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, and jump right back into it.
If you're one of those on-the-go people, or you're skipping meals but you don't want to, there's got to be a quicker solution. We've got one for you. It's called Huel. I'm going to take a swig. Cheers to Huel. This is the Black Edition, plant-based as well. Good for me. But what do you like about it?
I like the nutrition of it, and the replacement meal is great for me. Someone always on the go. Like, man, I can just grab one of these out of my fridge, lunch, breakfast, whatever it takes, whatever meal I'm not going to have time to eat. It fills me up. And it tastes great. You know why? Because it tastes like milkshake, ice cream, whatever you want to call it, whatever flavor you get is delicious.
35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 vitamins and minerals, low sugar. You can get yourself 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using the exclusive FT code FOUL, F-O-U-L, at Huel.com/FOUL. Please see our description for terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition, bottled.
All right, welcome back to Friar Territory. Kyle Glaser alongside Mike Cameron. All right, Mike, we talked a lot about the missed call on Manny Machado, the challenge system, how it's time to come to MLB, but there are some other aspects of the game I think were important to highlight. And even though the Padres lost, there's some good takeaways here. The Padres scored 7 runs, their most runs in nearly 2 weeks. We know this offense had been scuffling. And we've talked about how important it is for their big dogs to contribute. Manny Machado has been red hot, been doing everything, had another great game yesterday. But Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill both have been struggling, and I thought it was a positive step seeing them perform well yesterday. Tatis reached base 3 times out of the leadoff spot, 2 walks, a single was working counts. Jackson Merrill had a sac fly early, and of course, in the 10th inning, had an RBI double to bring the Padres within a run. I want to ask you this because you've lived it. Even the best hitters go through slumps. When you're slumping for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, we're not talking, it's been 10 bad at bats. You're talking about a month-long slump. What for you are the biggest tools that help you get out of it?
I mean, Kyle, one of the biggest things you do is just try to, get back to simplicity. Most of the time when you're in any kind of struggle or whatever, is a combination of many things. You just kind of speed yourself up. You're not recognizing the ball. So the internal clock of anxiety, once you're trying to get a hit, opposed to, getting a good ball to put a swing on. So there's many things that couple into, guys are able to do it. The adjustability in the swing, as we're speaking of a guy of, Tatis, is just a matter of him, more than likely getting good balls to hit. And then you foul them off. You're behind in the count. Most of the time when you look at guys that are struggling, they're always behind in the count. So you don't really get a chance to get your A swing off for the most part. And these guys that pitch today in the league can exploit that with the best of them. And then you may even hit the ball well, and the defense is just superior for the most part. It's tough to get a big league base hit. So. You got to start celebrating small victories. It don't have to be a hit. It can be that you just got a good pitch, you put a good swing on to try to build your cachet back up to where you have that supreme confidence. Because you never heard anybody who's not swinging the bat well is not fully confident. And most of the times when you're not swinging the bat well, you're always coming up in situations where your team can punch runs across a home plate. So one of the biggest things is you always tell guys, if you've done it before, then it's there. You just got to have your own way to get to it. Some guys, it takes a little longer than others to do it. Guys are able to, I think I don't think no one is slump proof, but most guys minimize certain at bats in their season to get back on track, and it sometimes it comes at a bad time, for your team, especially when the team is depending on you to be, the pillar in the lineup or whatever. But it just happens. So you're banding together as like 8 other guys in the lineup with you, trying to get it done to pick you up for, from time to time. But most guys that do struggle on a extended time, they're everyday players. So you got to still go out there every day. It's like shooters shoot. So you still got to go out there and put out there. You may give yourself a mental break for a day for you to be able to see it from the side. You may not get a whole day, but sometimes just letting your mind calm down on the sideline. Booney used to call it just getting benched. When you were an everyday player, you're getting benched because you wasn't hitting well, being productive. But when you're two-way players and you got guys that are going out there every day, you just understand the grind of that part of it, where you're battling yourself sometimes, trying to get back into the right fold. This is a tough game, man. It's a tough mental aspect that you got to have, and fight through it. Sometimes I've had some rough streaks. I've had some really, really rough ones, but at the end of the day, I've gotten through it at some point in time. Like you may have a good month, you may have a couple good weeks,
Yeah.
So, and the guys that are able to minimize it are the ones that are able to understand what it's like to go through certain things over the course of time. I mean, we're looking at Manny Machado, as we talked about him. The guy hits the ball on the ground through the first base hole. He hits it down the first base line. He hits it down the third base line. He does every hit, line drives. The one thing I appreciate and admire about Manny Machado, he's never tried to change his swing. He's not trying to do that high level stuff, whatever it is, trying to get the ball in the air. The guy tries to do what he's done since he was a teenager, and that's hitting line drives back through the box all over the field. Himself in a good position to do that.
And that's why he's on pace to be one of the few third basemen in the history of the game to have 350 home runs and 2,000 hits. And it's a gorgeous swing. If anyone tried to change it, they should be fired immediately. And look, with Fernando Tatis Jr., his biggest thing when he's slumping, we talk about, he chases breaking stuff below the zone. He did a really nice job last night. Dustin May throwing some dirty, dirty sliders. Fernando Tatis did a good job laying off them below the zone. That was good to see. Jackson Merrill's issue, he's been chasing velocity up, and he's also been missing some hittable secondary stuff in the zone, but we saw him go up the ladder, swing through 97 miles an hour, not even at his eyes, it was more at his helmet logo. And he's able to come back and get the RBI double. So we're starting to see, Tatis and Machado, in Tatis's case, laying off the pitches that were causing him issues. Merrill is being able to bounce back after swing and missing against the pitches that are giving him issues. So it's good to see, and we'll see if the Padres can keep it up again. It's one game. It's something to build on. Hopefully these two can get going, because when they are right, look, we saw it. The Padres scored 7 runs. They haven't done that in nearly 2 weeks. The offense has been scraping across 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs. They need their stars to play like stars, and when they perform, they're capable of doing a lot more than they have been offensively. All right, Mike, before we wrap up here, I want to ask, the Padres-Dodgers rivalry has really, really picked up in intensity since 2021. For most of these two franchises' histories, it hasn't really been a rivalry. The Dodgers have just kind of owned the Padres. But you were part of the Padres when the Dodgers actually were a rival and you guys were on an even level. 2006, Padres and Dodgers had the same record, 88 and 74.
Yeah.
Padres won the division, but I mean, it was neck and neck down to the wire. Even in 07, the Dodgers were in it. What are your memories of the Padres-Dodgers rivalry? What do you remember and think about most from your playing days as a part of it?
Just understanding of trying to get, be a part of a Padre team that was trying to really put ourselves in a better position. I played with some of the older guys in the Padres rivalry. That 06 year when we went down to the wire, man, like that was fun. We knew that, we were top 2 teams in the division. Obviously, once again, the Dodgers was loaded with talent talented name wise and everything. And man, we were fighting. It was fun for me because it's been a while since I've been to playoffs, in Seattle. And then I went to New York for a couple of years. But, to come back into this West Coast rivalry like this, it's exciting. I came to the Padres at a time that the stadium was starting to get packed up on a nightly basis. And, when the Dodgers come down, that Dodger blue, man, it's like, coming down that 405, man, it's fun, and like the people come to get a chance to see that. And the energy was good. The chants that they got going on, and to go down to the wire. The reason why we were able to win that division because we had the same records, because that was a time I think we were playing 19 times, I think, in a divisional situation. So it was important to play well against the team that you was chasing or trying to stay on top of, throughout it. And we had some great games. And, obviously Jake Peavy used to be so fired up when he faced, the Dodgers or whatever. You hear him talking to himself out loud. You could hear it in the stands, even when the noise was going on. So, I had some great ones. There's some great ones, great comeback wins, some big losses that we taken. I was in one of the games, man, that it was like
the 4
late
home
in the
runs,
season.
the 4 straight homers. Yeah, that was rough.
Man, that was so crazy. But we had to get back on track real quick because it was, in the stretch run in September, and we end up pulling it out. But man, like it was just great opportunities when you play against a team like that. I heard God, what's his name? Let me see, Muncy, saying that, there's only one team that's really rival with the Dodgers, and that's the Giants. And obviously we understood that because of the winning tradition that has taken place in that aspect. But Padres, the little brother Padres, have made the big brother Dodgers feel very uncomfortable, these last few years, whooping them in a divisional round and running the last year, to the fullest, to the last out. So it bodes well for baseball when you have teams that have been sitting at the top of the food chain for the longest, and you got some people that are coming in now trying to take some of their food off their plate in a sense, and this is what is going on with the Padres, and it's exciting. And I know it's exciting because the stadium is packed and the chants start out before the first pitch start. It's crazy when the stadium is packed before the first pitch. And so there's an energy amongst the stadium and in the city that everyone enjoys and try to go out and do battle and compete against a great team with the Dodgers. We know that they're at the top right now and everyone's trying to unseat them. And Padres know that, hey, we're right on your tail and we are going to let you know on a nightly basis.
Beautifully said. There's no question the Padres have absolutely staged some great comebacks against the Dodgers over these last couple of years. There have been a lot of close games, a lot of exciting games, a lot of dramatic games. That includes last night. We'll see if that will continue tonight and on Wednesday as the Padres and Dodgers continue their first series of the year against each other. Mike, we appreciate your expertise and insight as always. Thanks for joining us.
Definitely. Appreciate the love.
All right, everyone, that'll do it for another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Go ahead and give us a review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching, listening on. We'd love to hear from you. Definitely subscribe. It helps us out. You can find Mike on X, me on X. Talk to us. We love talking baseball with you all, and especially as this Padres-Dodgers series gets going. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have a lot more to come. I'll be back on with Heath Bell later this week, wrapping everything up. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a good one, everybody.